Are you worried that age is the reason your belly fat won't go away after 40? Science shows it's not true. After coaching hundreds of clients over 25 years, I've seen that people can lose belly fat in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. So in this video, I'm going to show you science-backed ways to lose your stubborn belly fat. To start, let's talk about the one rule that never changes, no matter what your age. To lose belly fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit consistently. That simply means burning off more calories than you take in. If you're not in a calorie deficit, your body won't burn off stored fat. But here's what changes after 40. Your lifestyle habits have probably shifted, maybe without you even noticing. Less movement, more stuff to do, less sleep, and sometimes more stress from all your responsibilities, and then eating when you're feeling overwhelmed. My client Jeffrey was convinced that he ate reasonably well and made healthy choices, and he couldn't figure out why he wasn't losing his belly fat. So I asked him to track what he was eating for a week. He ate the right amount of calories during the week to lose fat, which for him was about 1,800 calories. But on the weekends, he often would go as high as 2,500 or 3,000. And when I asked him about it, he would tell me, oh, that wasn't a typical weekend. I had a lot of family stuff with lots of food. So I had him track his food on the weekends for another 3 weeks. And we found that high-calorie weekends were the norm. He always had an event, and he always ate much more than it would take for him to lose fat. So we came up with strategies for him to enjoy smaller portions and be more selective on the weekends. And he finally saw his belly fat start to go away. Many people eat pretty well overall, but then the weekend, vacations, holidays, or even a busy week at work pushes them over the calorie level that it takes for them to stay in a calorie deficit. Could that be you? So track your food intake, everything, for at least 3 weeks. You'll learn about your food and you'll get a better idea of what your weaknesses are and which foods are adding a lot of calories at once. Vegetables and fruit are very low in calorie density and you can enjoy more of those. Now, there are equations and calculators online that will give you your approximate TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, which is the estimated amount of calories you burn every day. But because most people underreport their calories and make mistakes, so you think you're eating 1,600 calories, but it's actually 2,200, those equations won't always work for you. So tracking your calories first sets a baseline, and then you can set a calorie goal based on your own data. Focus on a small deficit. Try not to do anything too crazy because then you risk getting tired and worn out, and that's going to affect your energy and your activity levels, your calories out. You really want to look at your weekly averages rather than a day at a time because every day counts, even the weekend, especially the weekend. But calories aren't the only factor. What you eat can make a difference too. You need to eat in a way that satisfies you and keeps you full so that you can keep those calories under control. So prioritize protein at every meal. Protein keeps you full, reducing that extra eating. It supports muscle and burns more calories during digestion. It's essential for preserving lean mass during fat loss. Over 40, your body becomes less efficient at using protein to build muscle. That means you need more of it to get the same effect you had in your 20s. My client Mike told me he was always hungry, and that made it hard for him to reduce his calories. Absolutely normal. You're feeling hungry and you want to eat. That's actually how GLP receptor agonists like Ozempic and Wegovy work. They increase the feeling of fullness, slow gastric emptying, and reduce appetite. I looked at what Mike was eating and realized that he wasn't eating enough protein. So I asked him to start his day with 35 grams of protein for his breakfast, Greek yogurt and eggs, which he enjoys, and then add a couple of other lean protein sources to his day. He soon found that he managed to get to lunch without feeling the need to eat, which was unheard of for him. And once his hunger started to go down, he was able to make better choices all day long that started to eat away at his belly fat in a good way. So aim for at least 30 grams of protein per meal for a total of at least 0.7 grams per pound of body weight per day, 1.6 grams per kilo of body weight per day. As we get older, the rate of muscle protein synthesis goes down, so you need more protein per meal to get the muscle building effect and more protein overall. So what about carbs? Do you have to cut them out to lose belly fat? Nope. I tell my clients that as long as their protein is in place, they can choose how much carbs and fat they want. As long as the total calories are the same, the fat loss effect is the same. So some of my clients really love their carbs, like bread and potatoes, and others prefer to keep more fat in their diet with added oils or slightly higher fat types of meat. But keep in mind that some people do experience carb and sugar cravings when they start to increase their carb level too much. So if that's you, try to keep your carbs moderate, especially at first. In general, the more active you are, the more carbs are likely to work for you. So if you're training regularly with weights, then make sure you're fueling your body as well. So what do you actually eat? There's an exercise that I've been doing with my clients for over a decade, and everyone seems to love it. I call it the Food Freedom List, and it lets you design a nutrition plan that includes what you love and leave behind what you don't. Ask yourself, what are your 5 favorite staple foods you could eat regularly? Healthy options that you enjoy. What are your 5 favorite lean protein sources? What 5 vegetables do you genuinely enjoy and want to eat more often? What 5 fruits do you genuinely enjoy and want to eat more often? What are your 5 favorite treat foods that feel truly worth it? Is it chips, donuts, red wine, fries? I love cheesecake, chocolate, and ice cream personally. And that brings me to, what 5 treat foods could you easily live without? What doesn't actually satisfy you or isn't worth the calories? I never eat donuts or potato chips or French fries or chicken wings. Which food or habits tend to throw you off track? Think about your trigger foods, things that you can't stop eating, or maybe it's social settings or late night snacks. That's a big one for a lot of people. Let's go back to carbs again. I personally eat potatoes nearly every day because I love them, and potatoes have one of the highest levels of satiety of any food. If it keeps you full, your appetite stays under control, and you eat fewer calories overall. If you love what you're eating, you're more likely to stick to your plan. And you really need consistency over a long period of time to dig into those stubborn belly fat stores. And that means both subcutaneous fat, the fat under your skin that you can pinch, and visceral fat. That's the kind in your abdomen that surrounds your organs. When I used to measure body fat with calipers for my clients in gyms, many of my male clients in their 40s and 50s had a hard area underneath when I pinched their skin to measure their belly fat. That's visceral fat, and this kind of fat is more dangerous, and it's strongly linked to heart disease, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers. And it actually sends messages to the rest of your body as well. The good news? Visceral fat responds faster to lifestyle change than subcutaneous fat. Exercise in general can reduce visceral fat, even if you don't lose weight. The biggest reduction in visceral fat, though, is likely from a combination of strength training and cardio, which also seems to be best for improving your body composition in general, your body fat percentage. You technically don't need cardio to lose your belly fat, since most of the work is going to come from managing the calories coming in. But in your 40s and 50s, you should definitely be thinking about your heart health. And general health recommendations recommend 150 minutes of moderate cardio. If you're doing what they call vigorous cardio, so more intense, you can do 75 minutes of that per week, or a combination of the two. The higher the intensity, the less cardio you need to reduce your risk factors for cardiovascular disease. HIIT, high intensity interval training, also seems to help, and it's very efficient because you're getting more calorie expenditure in a short period of time. But you don't need to do it. It can help with fat loss if it's appropriate for you. 15 to 20 minutes of high intensity work 2 times a week is plenty. More than that, and you might be overwhelming your ability to recover, which tends to go down as we get older. So what about abs exercises? Wouldn't it be nice if we could just crunch away on a mat and get rid of just our belly fat? For sure. And based on the number of people with large bellies I see doing that at the gym, many people probably think it's possible. While there was a fairly recent study that showed a slight spot reduction in the belly fat area with abs exercises followed by cardio, the effects were really small. And the study used only 16 obese men, so it doesn't really change the body of evidence, all the other studies that showed it's not possible. And even if you could target belly fat with crunches, that wouldn't solve the real problem, because what's under the fat matters just as much as the fat itself, which brings us to something most people overlook. You'll lose 0.8 to 1% of your muscle mass per year once you get to 40, if you don't do anything about it. Our metabolism is tied to our muscle mass. Lose your muscle and your metabolism slows down. That's a major reason why people struggle to lose fat as they get older. So you need to lift weights. Not only does strength training build muscle, it helps you retain your muscle as you lose fat in a calorie deficit. So if we're trying to get rid of our belly fat with that deficit, it's going to hold on to the muscle. That means you get a more lean, defined look once you lose the fat. The more muscle you lose while losing fat, the more your appetite increases. And that makes it harder to maintain your fat loss once you get there. So train with weights 3 to 5 times per week using primarily compound lifts like squats, rows, presses. You don't need to spend hours in the weight room. Keep your sessions focused so you make the most of your valuable time. 25 to 40 minutes of actual weight training with maybe 5 minutes to warm up and 5 minutes for a bit of stretching and mobility at the end. Definitely something you want to think about more once you hit your 40s, is effective and efficient. Keep track of your waist circumference because that's where you're going to see the change the most. If losing belly fat is your goal, it makes the most sense. Of course, training is just one part of the equation. What you do the rest of the day can either support or sabotage your fat loss goals. That's why you want to increase your daily movement. NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, is your daily movement outside of active exercise. So standing compared to sitting, cleaning, just moving around your house, or doing tedious chores, and just wiggling around whenever you feel like it. One study showed that NEAT can vary by up to 2,000 calories a day between individuals. Some people just move more naturally. If that's not you, and it probably isn't, you'll have to push it a little more to increase your fat loss. You can start by setting up a minimum daily step goal. 7,000 steps is a good place to start. You can walk around your office when you're on the phone, set a timer and get up regularly when you're stuck at your desk. Park further away and walk and take the stairs whenever possible. You can use a step counter or tracker to make sure you're moving enough, but don't pay attention to the calorie burn. And definitely don't use those calories to earn yourself more food to eat. It's setting up a bad relationship with food, and those trackers are notoriously inaccurate for estimating calorie burn. But even with movement, training, and an ideal nutrition plan, there's one fat loss killer that most people overlook. In one study, 80 overweight people were sleeping less than 6.5 hours a night. When they were forced to sleep for another 1.2 hours a night, they spontaneously reduced their calories by about 270 calories the next day. Not getting enough sleep makes fat loss harder. And that fat gain seems to be preferentially stored as visceral fat, the dangerous one. Lack of sleep reduces leptin, your fullness hormone, and increases ghrelin, your hunger hormone. The reduction in growth hormone and melatonin production can affect your sleep quality over 40. Lower levels of testosterone in men and progesterone in women also interfere with your sleep. And you already know that hunger has a big impact on your calorie intake. Try to get at least 7 hours of sleep every day. Wind down 30 minutes before bed, no screens, don't check emails on your phone no matter how tempting it is. Dim the lights, and then sleep in a cool, dark, quiet room. Cutting out caffeine after 2 p.m. may also help your sleep because it does take some time for the caffeine to leave your system. But even with your plan firmly in place, there's one truth about belly fat you need to understand to succeed long term. Unless you have amazing genetics, you probably need to get leaner than you think to lose your belly fat. For most people, it's the last place to go. So consistency and patience matters. So if you see fat loss in other areas, but not your belly yet, stick to the plan and keep going. Most people quit just when the belly fat is starting to come down, especially if they've lost fat with extreme measures like crash diets or excessive exercise. It doesn't pay off. You don't need a 30-day challenge or sketchy fat-burning supplements to lose your belly fat. You need time and consistency with your new effective habits. To keep yourself motivated along the way, track your progress beyond the scale. Progress photos and videos are a great idea. Pay attention to how your clothes fit, particularly if your waistband is getting looser or you're tightening up your belt another notch. Keep track of your workouts, both your weight training and your cardio, to see how you're improving. All of these strategies can show you that you're moving in the right direction, because you don't need extreme diets or long, exhausting workouts to lose your belly fat over 40. You need a consistent, science-backed approach that works with your lifestyle and your specific challenges. If you want to focus on building lean muscle as you lose your belly fat, watch the video here.